You're watching Console Conversations.
Hello everybody, it is me, Walter, the Germany Ball here with Console Conversations Season 3, Episode 3. So, this is an episode that's a copycat. That's all it is. I've already done 2 of these before. I've done ranking all the Nintendo consoles and ranking all the Sega consoles too, because both of those are just interesting topics to me. I mean, what more do you want me to say? But it's time we get to one of my favorite console developers, probably either my first or second, actually, PlayStation. Sony. I love Sony. I love PlayStation. I don't really use many of their products, but I adore the PlayStation brand. Ever since, so long I've been playing PlayStation 1 and 2. That's some of the first games I ever played. PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2. I love both of those consoles so very dearly. And then it just stopped. I didn't buy the PSP because I was more interested in the Nintendo DS. I liked the Nintendo 2 at the time, but I never really grew to like them until the GameCube era. So I got a GameCube and I liked that, so I got a DS, but I didn't get a PSP. I just didn't care enough. There weren't enough great games to entice me. And then the PlayStation 3 happened, and it was so outrageously expensive, I didn't buy it. That generation was the dark ages of gaming for me. I played the Wii, but it wasn't one of my favorites. I think it's great for multiplayer, but I didn't get to experience that many of the great games other than Wii Sports and Mario Galaxy. So, overall, I didn't have a great experience with that generation. I didn't buy a PlayStation 3. I played an Xbox 360, and I usually just played Castle Crashers and Banjo-Kazooie and Battle Block Theater most of the time, but I had bought that once the PlayStation 4 was already out, and that's when I started getting back into it. I didn't buy the Vita either, but I did immediately get a PlayStation 4 because I was like, okay, that new Last of Us game looks cool. I want to play Uncharted. I want to play Infamous, all that stuff, and I loved all of it. I love Last of Us. I love Uncharted. I love Infamous Second Son. I love Last of Us 2. I absolutely love that, and Horizon Zero Dawn, and Spider-Man, and Ghost of Tsushima, and so many games on the PlayStation 4 I just adored. And then I bought PlayStation Now recently, and I've been playing PlayStation 3, so I've realized that pretty much every PlayStation console has a purpose, and that I really needed to give them more of a chance. So, here I am. I'm ready to rank every PlayStation console. Yeah, all of them. And I'm not going to pull a fast one. I'm not going to split the home consoles and the handhelds. There are only 2 handhelds, so I'm just going to do them all in this video. And unlike the Sega Game Gear, I have lots to say about the handhelds as well as the home consoles. Whereas with the Game Gear, I had basically nothing to say, so I just put it in the ranking. Here, I'm going to be talking about all 6 consoles in depth. This could be seen as hyping up for the PlayStation 5, but it's also could just be seen as me ranking them. So let's start out with the PlayStation 1. The PlayStation 1 is fantastic. It literally nearly murdered Nintendo. Just kidding, it did. But it did take Nintendo down from the top to a very, very, very distant second. They were in second by over 70 million units. 70 million units. That's more than the NES sold in its entire lifespan. Yeah, that's a ton of units. And that's just the gap. Sega Saturn was at the bottom, so Nintendo wasn't at the bottom yet, unlike the next generation with the GameCube. But Sega was, that's a very low bar, and Sony, still, give it credit, Nintendo was the king of everything. It nearly had a monopoly. Sega made a little dent in that, but then started to die out because of stupid business decisions, like I said in my last video. But Sony was able to just dominate them for 2 generations straight. And that's pretty impressive. So, the PlayStation 1, enough just going on about how well it sold. It's just one of my favorite consoles of all time. It was the first console I ever played, and it has Spyro. So, the PlayStation, no. I'm going to talk about more. It had Crash Bandicoot, which is great. The second and third ones are amazing games. Spyro 1 and 2 are amazing, and 3 is pretty good. I mean, Ape Escape is also pretty amazing. Medieval, I just played the remake of that. I never played it during the PS1 days, but it is fantastic. Wipeout. You had so many games. Gran Turismo for the racing fan. Resident Evil for the horror fan. I mean, just Silent Hill for the horror fan as well. It had so many great games in so many genres. Final Fantasy VII, Metal Gear Solid, Castlevania Symphony of the Night. So many games lauded as masterpieces. I mean, just incredible. Just incredible. And then you had the PS2. People like it better, but I don't. And here's why. I don't like the PlayStation 2 better than the PlayStation 1 because I don't like that games as much. They killed Crash, they killed Spyro, but it plays all PS1 games. So, can't really argue with that. Overall, I think the PlayStation 1 itself has a better library, but the PlayStation 2 plays all those games and more, so why not? And it plays DVDs. So you can watch movies, play the PlayStation 1 and the PlayStation 2. That's a no-brainer. And the PlayStation 2, I might be underplaying it. So let me just list off. There are so many great games. God of War, sequels to all the PS1 games I named. There's Shadow of the Colossus is very beloved along with Eco. So many amazing games on the PS2 that were created exclusively for that console. Jak and Daxter, Sly Cooper, and Ratchet and Clank are the holy trinity of platforming games on that system, and they are just fantastic. The multiplayer, in my opinion, does not work here. Well, there are not many great multiplayer games on the PS2, whereas the PS1 did an okay job at it. PlayStation has always been pretty bad with multiplayer, especially couch multiplayer. But this is where it started to take the real dip. because they focused on online, and this is also the console that introduced us to online technically. I mean, the Sega Dreamcast kind of did it first, and I think the Xbox might count, but, you know, online gaming, huge breakthrough, and it was a part of it. Great console overall. Then we have the PSP, which I have never played. I haven't played a single PlayStation Portable game in my entire life. Not a port, not a remake, nothing. Nothing. And I don't blame myself. It doesn't have that many great games, in my opinion. In terms of exclusives, it's pretty lacking. Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker was one of the most popular ones. Sure, I mean, there were some Ape Escape games. There were God of War games was a big one. But overall, I don't get the appeal of the PlayStation Portable overall. I understand why it didn't sell that great now, because looking back, there aren't too many great games that were exclusive to the system. I do have to say, the media playback was a big feature, and that's likely the reason it sold as many units as it did. It sold close to Nintendo 64 amounts. But overall, not great games, but a pretty cool little relic of the past and a cool media player. Then we have the PlayStation 3, which I have played games of, but only through streaming and remakes, because of the PlayStation 4 with PS Now. Great console, actually. Like, surprisingly amazing. And I have to, let me just say, it digitally and physically plays PlayStation 1 games. Like, the PlayStation 3 itself might not have the greatest library. I mean, it has Ratchet and Clank games, like so many of them. It has Sly Cooper game. It has a Sly Cooper game. It has Resistance. It has Killzone. It has Uncharted, The Last of Us. It has Puppeteer, Little Big Planet, Flower, Fat Princess. So many games. And it plays all these PlayStation 1 classics. If it didn't, I would probably say it's one of the weaker home consoles. But with PlayStation 1 backwards compatibility, and even PlayStation 2 in some very certain models, yeah, it's one of the best out there. Like, honestly, just because of backwards compatibility, it might win this whole thing. Yeah. Then we have the PlayStation Vita. No, I'm sorry, Vita fans. I don't like it. It's a cool console, had great ideas, was really neat. I kind of want to just know what one looks like and play it, but it doesn't have that many great games at all. Uncharted Golden Abyss, the biggest one. Velocity 2X, pretty good. Luftrausers, okay, cool. But other than that, what memorable PSP exclusive game can you name? I do have to say it played many PlayStation 3 games and it played PlayStation 1 games digitally, but overall, like, abysmal. Like, not a good job at all of delivering great games. I mean, I guess there's also Gravity Rush, which I really didn't like, but a lot of other people do, so you can consider that too, I guess. And I don't know if Loco Roco was this or PSP, but overall, no, not a great system and not a great handheld, especially considering the 3DS. Like, that's my favorite system of all time. I love the 3DS so much. But even giving it a very positive eye, the PlayStation Vita falls flat and just outright fails. And then you have the PlayStation 4. One of the best consoles ever made. It doesn't play PlayStation 1 games. It doesn't play PlayStation 2 games. It doesn't play PlayStation 3 games unless you're streaming. But it is one of the best PlayStation consoles because its library alone makes it worth it. The Last of Us 2, The Last of Us Remastered, Infamous Second Son, Horizon Zero Dawn, God of War, Order 1886 is pretty good. Nier Automata, Medieval remake. I mean, Ratchet and Clank remake. Uncharted 4. Like, Spider-Man. Like, Days Gone, Dreams, Ghosts of Tsushima. So many freaking games. And it was the first to support VR. A great console based on its own library, not needing the past to succeed. And this is probably the hardest ranking I've ever had to do, but I'm going to have to do it. So, how would I rank the PlayStation consoles? Well, number 1 goes to the PlayStation 3. Hear me out. It's because the PlayStation 3's library is great, and it plays PS1 games and some PS2 games. You can't pass that up. Then number 2 goes to the PlayStation 2 because it plays PlayStation 2 and 1 games. Number 3 goes to the PlayStation 1. And number 4 goes to the PlayStation 4. Because the PlayStation 4, while great on its own, doesn't have backwards compatibility. And to be honest, it's better than the PS1, but I'm saying I like the PS1 better because of nostalgia. Then the PSP, and then the PS Vita. But that's based on backwards compatibility. So, basing it on their own libraries, I would have to say it goes to the PlayStation 4, then the PS1, then the PS2, then the PS3, then the PSP, and then the PS Vita. I think that's a much better way of ranking it. Backwards compatibility, it can all get muddled up. But overall, PlayStation has a great track record, and it has released many great consoles. So I wanted to rank them, and I hope you enjoyed me ranking them. And I would have very much appreciated it if you commented down below what would you rank them as? What are your favorite PlayStation consoles? And what episodes do you want me to do next? Make sure to like and subscribe. Be safe, everybody. I'm Walter the Germany Ball, and goodbye.